Namaste and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth, the study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake life or imagination. Today was a fantastic debate. Abhi hui yahan par. So those of you who are watching this is the first analysis of this debate in Hindi. And जो आप लोग देख रहे हैं पहला एनालिसिस है डिबेट का इन हिंदी. So what was the debate? The debate was on many issues, and immigration was there. Then there was an issue on Russia dominated it, Ukraine dominated it, the the healthcare dominated the issues, and also the I was really surprised. Number one, if I have to conclude it, I'm going to do it towards the end, so you can see my analysis who was actually winning the debate. बाद में सब पता लगेगा. तो पहली बात तो हमारी कमला आंटी ने बहुत बोला हम लोगों को. कमला आंटी ने she did a good debate, by the way. I can say that she did a good debate. I was under the impression that Donald Trump is going to completely dominate her, but she didn't let that happen. So overall you can say very balanced debate, and I'll tell you who won in the end. So let's go to issue by issue. Issue by issue चलते हैं, and then we will see what happened. So body language, number one. So very relaxed. Kamala Harris was very relaxed, and Donald Trump was a little bit tensed up in the body language. But you can see a nice haircut on Donald Trump, which is a good thing. Nice haircut. He's trimmed his hair. पतला बाल वाल बना के आया है पूरा, और हमारी कमला देवी भी बाल वाल बना के आई है, सुंदर लग रही है. And so body language tensed up, very defensive, and Kamala Harris was natural flow. मतलब Kamala Harris prepared a lot, बहुत preparation किया उसने. So this is a good thing to see in a debate. And believe me, when I was hearing the debate, I was looking at the questions, how the questions were, and I would give negative marks to the people who were asking questions. The media people who were there, and I don't want to take their names, but the media people who were there, they were appeared to be a little bit more biased against Trump. I can say that. वो लोग का जो कमेंट्स था, क्वेश्चंस थे, जैसे कि एक क्वेश्चन पूछा कि आपने 6 जनवरी कराया कि नहीं कराया, व्हाट इज द फैक्ट्स. तो वो उसने तुरंत उसको दे आस्क्ड द क्वेश्चन इन अ वेरी rude way, and Trump defended it. Trump explained, and the Trump also said that the while he was a president, उसने बताया कि he went there to actually stop the things. He did not actually उन्होंने audience को, he did not ask the audience to go and on the Capitol Hill. He did answer that question, but that question was cut. The answer was cut in the end. When Kamala Harris was asked the same question, and she did her policy points that it was a illegal for the president of the United States to ask people to go and attack. She said that. On the judicial freedom, that was a very aggressive question on judicial freedom and the judiciary being used against a former president. That was a serious question, I thought. In on that question, I think Donald Trump was very aggressive, and he defended his point that the judicial freedom has to be there. And Kamala Harris was also she brought us some facts which I did not know before. Many convictions which Donald Trump has, clearly we all know क्यों है convictions वो. I don't want to get into that. But Trump's Harris points were also very valid. But one thing Harris goofed up was on this particular. She took out a 40-year-old issue, 40 to 45, 50-year-old issue. And that issue is not relevant. It happened so long back that it is not relevant today. So we cannot blame someone for happening. Even Trump did not know. So that was a different case, the rental case. I got through the case. And then that case was actually, the advertisement was very unfair, and that was not because of Donald Trump. It was advertising agency. So So there it was, she had a negative outcome on that point actually. Joe versus Wade, and think Kamala Harris did fantastic on that one. Kamala Harris did fantastic on answering the women's freedom and choice over abortion, and she also highlighted the case where a rape victim, if they cannot maintain a child, and they should have the right to choose freedom or to choose an option. I don't like options personally, because if somebody gives me an option, I choose it. uh, but that is fair for those women, I think. उसका पॉइंट अच्छा था कमला हैरिस का. कमला हैरिस ने बिल्कुल सही पॉइंट बोला उस पे. एंड उस पॉइंट के ऊपर ट्रम्प जो है डिफेंसिव रह गए. Trump was more defensive on that point, but Trump did come and say that the 20 states which have implemented, those states, see, the problem in the US is, whenever you're in the biblical belt, they want to follow the Bible to the hilt, but they do not want to acknowledge that the abortion is also part of the women's rights. See, United States was not formed on Bible; it was formed on the Constitution, and the first five presidents declared America, USA, to not be a Christian nation. That is the first five presidents. You check John Adams; he was the second president, and you check him on the website of whitehouse.gov, and there you will see what I'm saying exactly. So there, the most of the MAGA Republicans are not right over there. जो भी MAGA crowd है, they are not right in actually claiming that America was a Christian nation. America was never a Christian nation. Tucker Carlson is also very wrong over there. Tucker Carlson's most of the reporting is, I don't agree with many of his reporting in any way. Now, coming to the point of Ukraine, Ukraine is a very significant matter for foreign policy in the USA. Now, US has invested so much money in building up the Ukrainian defenses to fight with Russia. US is the main funder. I think they have done more than $100 billion so far, $150 billion so far, and it's the main funder of that war. So on that front, Trump was right. Trump was winning, but the claims that he can end the war in 24 hours, that was a little bit laughable, because even if the even if you stop the war, it's going to take them some time for forces to withdraw, and the boundaries which are already drawn now, and also the incursion of Ukraine into Kursk region of Russia, that is significantly, that's a unpardonable offense from the Russian side. So the war is going to continue. So 24 hours you can stop the war, not possible. And also, Trump's comments were laughable, that Moscow would not have attacked. Well, I mean, that is between Russia and Ukraine, and Russia and NATO, which the war, how the Russian president wants to take the war. But having being so confident on Putin, it was a very bad move. And on that, Kamala Harris jumped on him. Kamala Harris literally significantly said, and I don't agree with her position also, by the way, because under any circumstance, see here the Trump's arguments were that he's against bloodshed. That was a very good argument. And Kamala Harris' counter argument to that was American supremacy and how Americans can tolerate a nation being invaded. We all know how this Ukraine war started. It was created by Victoria Nuland. Victoria Nuland was Deputy Secretary of State. She was working for Anthony Blinken, and it has been in the making for 2014. So there, the Trump's arguments were more cogent. Trump ने अच्छे arguments दिए वहाँ पे. And the point is कि whether we like it or not, both of them had very solid arguments. On the third issue, which is also very significant, is the transparency of elections and immigration. Now, most of the media reporting so far, and obviously we do not know the facts of the case. What is like some immigrant ate a cat? Is that an issue to argue? But it's important for some people. So, how these Haitian immigrants were brought into Ohio, and how they could also they killed a cat, and whether they ate it or not. See, what happens on Twitter, what happens on Facebook, cannot be brought into presidential debates, because most of the social media, you all know, I know how it biased it is. Sometimes When we put out some facts from Sattology, people counter us for no reason without any research also. But there, uh, Trump's comments were very weak because there is no proof of that from the city manager. And I also give it to Kamala Harris also and other people on that one, because the data for city manager is more important than anything. Whether they're doing their job accurately or not, I don't know. I don't know. Uh, the the third case was economic revival, which is a, so I discussed three things: judicial and the Ukraine and economic revival. Now, Kamala Harris claimed that the people have is the highest employment generation in years. Believe me, digging roads is not employment. It's just like Manarega scheme of Manmohan Singh. Digging roads is not economic revival. Startup ecosystem, but I did not see the issue de-dollarization coming anywhere, of which Trump has spoken a lot. And maybe since that is such a stark reality, the people who were asking questions did not even want to touch it, because that's hitting the underbelly of the United States. But de-dollarization is real. It's accepted by most of the banks, and I was surprised that this question was not there. The uh, Kamala Harris' position on economic revival was creating jobs, and she did very good arguments on the shale gas and also the immigration issue also. So, economic revival front, I thought, and I may be wrong, that Biden, but the policies of the Biden administration have not been very forthright, because the unemployment in this country, I was seeing some data, is almost 35%. I'm talking about regular W2 jobs, like the full-time jobs. I'm not looking for the contractual positions for few hours or something like that. So if you count the hourly job rates and short-term jobs, then that is not considered employment. That is contract. So most of the data that is being reported is of the contractual data, that is that is 1099 and all these are categories. Some of you may not know. These are the categories, and I don't think so that's an accurate analysis. The accurate analysis would be that we need to count the W2 jobs, and W2 jobs creation is low. At one point, Trump did say that she's copying his policies and she's copying his talking points. And Trump said, "Yes, I will send you the MAGA hat." That was a funny part of the entire discussion. Gun rights. Many people today morning called me, and I had a heated argument with some people also. And because I like to protect Amendment 2 of the American Constitution. Second Amendment is important for all of us, or our own security, or family security. So she was very forthright. She said, "I never said it. I don't want to take away the guns." And she said, "Myself, I'm also the gun owner." She said, "Myself and Biden both are gun owners." So that argument, I think that was a fake campaign by Republicans, GOP, on social media, that she's going to take away the guns. And she said openly and clearly. And I think many of my friends would be surprised how I knew that she actually defended the gun rights of Americans. So that's a solid point overall, because I think that took away the sail from the ship of Trump completely. He had no point on that. And that is also a good clarification from the Democrat point of view, that they are not against Second Amendment. So the again, the Constitution played a very important role in the beginning of the discussion, where Project 2025 came in. Now, Project 2025 is a supposedly a Democrat campaign, that the Project 2025 means that there are 20 steps to be done. And I can show you some screens here. What is Project 2025? But I never believed that document. I know some think tanks have produced the document. I believe, may not be knowing, maybe Heritage. I'm not sure about it. Heritage has done it, and Project 2025 document, but he completely disowned it. And that was a very smart move by Donald Trump to allay the fears of changing the constitution. because changing the constitution of the United States is not acceptable by any American. We I think I the constitution of USA is a great constitution, no doubt about it. The way it is implemented is where the question is. It's a simple, straightforward constitution. It protects the rights of Anglo Saxons. It was created for them initially because there were no immigrants from Philippines or India or Mexico at that time. So it was created for Anglo Saxons, and it has served its purpose. And also the constitution, when it was designed, so I think more needs to be done. And I would blame the native. I would blame the people who were asking questions. They did not ask a single question about Native Americans, as if they don't even exist. The 12 million Native Americans and their rights are not being discussed at all. A lot of issues are there for Native Americans, not a single question on that. Like the water is not there, electricity not there, water being poisoned, the recent Supreme Court judgment against the Navajo County, Navajo Nation, all those things were not there, which is a very sad part. That's why I said it is not touching the people. There was no talk of the real inflation, no question on real inflation. There should have been a question on real inflation. The World War Three, that question was also asked, and World War Three, believe me, it's a it's a kind of a not a reality, will not happen. Maximum it can happen a European war. The colonial period is over. So World War Two happened because of colonial influence. World War One happened because of colonial influence. So countries who contributed the maximum soldiers in World War One and World War Two was India. India is out. India will not be participating in any war. So ideally it should be called European War One and European War Two. So the rest of the world is not going to participate. So World War Three is out of the question. And given the state of American economy, I would have taken an initiative. That question was there. If I was in the position of Trump, said World War Three is not going to happen. And Kamala Harris, she said World War Three can happen. And so totally unrealistic. And there, I think Kamala Harris lost the argument over there. On the issue of, if I look at the discussion on the judicial reforms and also the role of judges, I think the thing question should have been asked in a different way. That can American judiciary be independent? Can American judiciary be politically independent? That would have been a better question to ask. But I think that question was not there because that's the problem. If the judiciary is not independent and can be influenced easily by any of the political masters, then the US will lose the businesses globally. One important thing was not taught is China. Did not figure in the entire discussion. And that's surprisingly why China was not discussed. I mean, according to Democrats, China is a not a enemy number one. According to Republicans, China is the enemy number one. Surprisingly not discussed. I mean, why it was excluded, I don't know. And so according to me, China is not a military threat to United States, and but China is an economic threat, and also the influence of Chinese social media, TikTok, is very high on the young Americans. So that's a very that's a point which we have to consider. There were funny moments, and I'm going to show you one single uh, body language which you should notice. The body language. Now this is on 9/11. Tomorrow is 9/11. Okay, and I'm going to show the body.
Donald Trump left.
Let me just mute this, and if you can see my screen. Okay, perfect. The
Since
body
the
language.
Civil War, Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy.
Totally fake news. Because how could this happen? 9/11. 9/11 happened in the era of George Bush. How could this happen? So again, this was a very low moment for Kamala Harris. And look at the way she's emphasizing her point. Look at her body language you just saw. So this was a fake news. And it's a very sensitive matter. Tomorrow is the day, and for some of you today, but tomorrow is the day where almost 5,000 people died. It's a very sensitive issue. I don't think so anybody should play politics on that. And I'm strictly stand by it. Even though we are a neutral channel, we don't try to be either Democrat or Republican. But for our audience, I'm saying this point should not have been discussed. And I think the people who were managing the show, they should have done a more careful job in not discussing these points over there. It would have cut the discussion, but they allowed it. That's why I'm saying that many of the points which both of the people were saying were this point should have been stopped by the people who were interviewing. Now I'll show you exactly what she said on the gun ownership, which is a music to my ears. Let me just do that. Okay, let me just show that. Okay, do you see my screen? And some of you can see my screen, which is okay. Now if I show you what she said, okay.
Stuff. Position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away.
Now I'll stop you on fracking. Now fracking is known to create chemicals in the American soil, because I have a piece of land under which fracking was done in West Virginia. And in that land, nothing can be grown because of the fracking. The chemicals were put to, if you know the process of fracking, they drill the holes into the earth, put chemicals, break the water table, and those chemicals enter the water. So, and the quality of oil which comes from fracking is requires a much more tedious process in refining. So fracking has caused soil erosion. Fracking has caused EPA violation of rivers, and fracking has caused chemical introduction in the soil. And all these things, fracking is there. Fracking, in my opinion, must be banned because it is not good for the health of many people. In fact, many of the people don't say about it. I want somebody to actually investigate the effect of fracking on the water in Michigan, and something will know. Maybe some parts of Michigan not under the fracking land. Mostly it's part of the east and southeast United States, but it's spreading fast for the fracking industry. So this point was really wrong. So let us hear the whole thing what she said.
Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. Position on fracking. And then this business about taking.
Okay, you heard about gun control. So she said Tim Walz and she are. So in one of the questions, uh, Trump, and this question has made many people happy, especially those who are NRA members like me and other people, and it has made many people happy. And I think this will give her a bipartisan support on this area. I think this single question would have actually made her win this debate, made her win. Now, there are many times she kept on saying to Donald Trump, looking at Donald Trump and saying, "You're lying, is a lie, is a lie." Actually, that's a very bad statement to make because you need to address the media who's asking the question, and they should not be asking the question or looking at the contender or debate Donald Trump and answering on his face. They should not be doing that. A lie. But I would say that on this question, uh, the Kamala Harris has changed her position, and she was not very truthful on that. And so there, I think Donald Trump kept smiling, did not reply. He actually won the point over there. On wars, I think Democrats have a very weak position on wars. And we recently know also that the Indian opposition members met, were invited via her office to the United States. So I don't think so. She has the support on that side. And this question was not asked by the media guys. So I believe that the media which was interviewing there, they need to be better prepared. They were not knowing the issues. They did not cover Native Americans. They did not cover foreign policy issues properly. They did not cover the issues on the impact on regular Americans. 35% is the inflation rate in aggregate terms over the last 5 years. So how is that is not being counted? Now on the issue of China helping or China creating the virus, COVID virus, the question was very direct, and surprisingly the roles were reversed. It was Trump who initially called China virus. Now Harris called China virus, and that's I think that was a thing which Trump was saying that she stole the points from him. I'll show you another video which you'll really like because most of the preparation for this media interview was not pretty much uh, in. I mean, the social media chatter was not very consistent, and both sides of propagandas were going on. Now, on the issue of unemployment, it is a known fact that Donald Trump created record employment, and that too, I'm talking about W2 jobs, and that's where Kamala Harris lost it also because Biden's and Kamala Harris job creation is contractual. And on another point, I'll say uh, the economics. Trump was very aggressive. Trump did say that her father is a Marxist professor in economics. He taught her well. Now, this is a valid comment because he was very much close to Marxism and communism. But believe me, US is more communist today than before. In terms of all the Western countries, the biggest employer in the United States is the US government. That's a fact. So if you say communism and state-owned jobs, and I think in California, especially where I live, is that government jobs are the safest jobs. I mean, becoming a senator or a assembly member or a congressman is the best job you can do. You can get, and if you get elected twice, then you get the medical for life, pension for life. It's the safest job now. Uh, and so many of these points are exchanged now. Uh, now in MAGA hat is the light one. I already said that how the MAGA hat exchange, Senator MAGA hat, to which she was uh, surprised. She was surprised. She started laughing, and I was worried she wouldn't laugh the way she usually laughs because that would have been hilarious. But I was expecting her to do that. She didn't do that. She controlled today. So, on the issue of abortion, Trump did put JD Vance under the bus because he said JD Vance, whatever his position of JD Vance, he doesn't know. And ideally, they both are candidates, president and vice presidential candidate. He should know, and he should not put him under the bus. This is what the leftist media is saying, the CNN media is saying. But according to me, that was a very valid comment. It's actually giving respect to JD Vance. That if you don't know his position, you don't have the right to say. If you know his position, then you don't have a right to say. So he did not know his position, and he was very accurate about it. I like that comment actually. The so in the on the issue of rally, now in the rally, you know the Kamala Harris told Trump that most of the people who attended his rally left early. Great comment. And Trump's reply was savage on that one, where he said, "You don't even have people in the rally." So I think in on this point, both of them were equal to some extent. So just imagine, just understand that here Kamala Harris was an underdog. Everyone knew that Trump is going to perform very well. He did perform very good. He did perform very good, but I think Kamala Harris stepped up on on the debate stage. The social media will have a lot of data on actually, and like Trump's comment that nobody comes to Kamala Harris rallies is not a correct statement because her rallies have been full, have been full. Uh, on IVF, which is artificial insemination, which is fertilization. On IVF, Trump said that he has supported it and he has actually provided funding for it. This actually destroys the Republican MAGA arguments. And most of the people will say, how does it destroy? Because many of the Republican states, especially in the biblical belt, they are anti abortion, they are for families, but they have done very little for people who do not belong to that sector, like that belong to that religion. Very little. So, a president of the United States is not pastor in chief. He has to be the president of the United States, following the Constitution, not the religious beliefs of one particular community. So, this comment by Trump that he was a leader in IVF, actually he stole the points. He stole the point over Kamala because Democrat argument was the Republicans are going to stop it, but he was actually provided funding. Now, coming back to the uh, unemployment since depression. Now, Kamala Harris comment that the Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century, not correct, because this epidemic was in nobody's control. In fact, the country which helped the United States the most is India, and that was actually thank Obama. Biden actually thanked India for helping them when they needed most. But what US did to India by not providing them kits was savage. Like what was the most evil thing the United States could do to any other country. So they did not pay back in kind. Those kind of questions should have been there. I think that question would have really on ethics, morality, on reciprocity, because if the US calls India as a great strategic partner, then they have to act also accordingly. So that question was missing. So therefore, the people who were asking questions, I think they were not educated enough on, or they did not do the research, or they must be having some kids writing questions for them from kindergarten maybe. Now, Kamala Harris, we have been cleaning up Donald Trump's messy lefters. No, Donald Trump, that was a very bad comment because Donald Trump did not leave a mess. The oil prices were lowest despite a pandemic, and also the economy was good. We all felt it. We all saw it. We felt it. The car sales, everything we saw it, we felt it. So there, I think Kamala Harris lost the argument there. Now, one plan on the plan on the economic side, economic revival side, it was a major gaffe by the Trump, and I'll show you what exactly was that. I'm going to actually show you what he said because this was a major policy problem uh, on behalf of the Trump actually. Okay.
You.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan.
So now she doesn't have a plan. Actually, Trump did not have a plan. She has a plan. She has published just 2 days back. So there, I think both of them are claiming that the Ivy League schools have approved their plans, but the policy paper, she actually put it out. Trump Republicans have not done it. So many things which social media, where I see the Republican social media points, they're very aggressive on social media, but there is no outcome. There is no data outside. So on the Democrat side, most of things are documented and publicly available. I think GOP can do a better job on that one. But the question was really wrong because the policy on both sides is lacking. But at least Kamala printed it, well, published it actually. On the Republican side, they have not done it. On the issue of, now I'll take it back to you, the issue of, let me just share another tab. On the issue of uh, on the issue of police, actually, the police atrocities, and that question was not asked. That should have been asked because what people are concerned in the US are militarization of police. That question was absent. So overall, I would say a very decent debate, and I watched it with a lot of interest because I thought that the because really Trump Kamala was underdog, and I really thought that Kamala would not step up to Donald Trump, but she did very well. She did very well overall, and she stood up. But most of the things which he said were not truthful, and same thing with Trump also. Many things he said were not truthful. So on the fact checking, I think other people will do a better job than me. On fact checking side, I think both of them published their political positions, not the factual positions. And on the communication side, I think Kamala Harris had an upper hand. And I think that Donald Trump must have been schooled not to speak some loose words or open some more can of worms. And so he was very, very uh, subdued. But I think this will be, if you look at the election outcomes on this debate will have some bearing on the election outcomes, some, not a lot. So Democrats will be more energized with Kamala Harris, I think, and Republicans will have to work a little harder to make sure that the message goes out, and Republicans also have to work a little harder on fact checking. So that's being the analysis, and you make your own judgment after hearing me. And this was a show which I had already planned, and so thank you all for watching and joining us in big numbers. So I'll take some questions if you have, and if you have any questions, I'll take them. uh, Rudra C is saying Kamala won, in my opinion. You're right to some extent. Yes, I would say that. Uh, the Harsha Rao is saying Trump decidedly came up as an accusatory. Kamala Harris won this debate hands down. Come should have been more pointers of the country. ABC anchors were biased. All good points, Harsha Rao. I totally agree with you on that one. Noah left Hindi. I said some things in Hindi, but this show was more about American elections, so Americans should know that. Trump no vision, same old, same old. That's correct. Where is the border wall paid by Mexicans? Well, let me tell you one thing. If Americans are building the wall, Mexicans are building flyovers over the wall. So it's easier for them to jump into the United States. So wall is not going to work. Saffron Man, Jai Shri Ram. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not going to take certain comments, Rudraji. Okay. बोल रहे थे हिंदी से हिंदी है भाई. ओके, चलिए मैं आपको हिंदी में करता हूँ. देखिए, अगर मैं पूरा बात करूँ निशान जी, कि जो पूरा इलेक्शन है ये, अगर आप देखेंगे कि ये पूरी डिबेट में दोनों साइड से झूठ बोला गया और दोनों साइड ने गलत गलत पॉइंट से बात किया. कोई भी बात ऐसी नहीं करी जो एक्चुअली अमेरिकन को छूती है. वो क्या ऐसी कोई भी बात नहीं हुई जो अमेरिकन को टच करे. और दिस इज ए वेरी, जैसे नेटिव अमेरिकन के पास जॉब्स नहीं है और पानी नहीं है पीने के लिए, बिजली नहीं है, भोजन नहीं है, अमेरिका में पॉवर्टी बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ रही है, उस पर कोई बात ही नहीं हुई. इट वॉज लाइक ए Anglo-Saxon media asking Anglo-Saxon questions relevant to Anglo-Saxons. No community, no talk about racism, no talk about all those things. So वो सब बात ही नहीं हुई. तो यही उसका हुआ पूरा. रशिया wants Trump to win. रशिया किसी को नहीं चाहता जीतना. बोलते वो रहते हैं वो. Russia doesn't care. Russia is too big for that. Jai Bharat, some best analysis. Thank you. Serenity, thank you. Rishiraj Sa. City manager will not be accepting negative items and make it official. The politicians, कौन सच बोल के खुद के पैर बिल्कुल सही बोला ऋषिराज. Why would a city manager publish negative image of his own city? City manager has nothing to do with this. So you're right. So the quoting city manager by the media shows their bias. सही बोला आपने. चर्च हाँ बिल्कुल सही बोला जी देसाई जी बेचते ही है वो. सुनील लिमय बोल रहे हैं बोथ पार्टिसिपेंट कैंडिडेट वीक बिल्कुल सही है. कमला हैरिस ट्रम्प वाज एड्रेसिंग द डिबेट पैनल बिल्कुल सही है. एक्चुअली वही करना चाहिए था. इन क्वेश्चंस के माध्यम से you to address the people who are going to vote. So Trump did a good job. I think Kamala Harris did a better job in this. You know? अजीत देसाई वेस्ट कंट्री प्राणमय कोश में कॉन्शियसनेस है. अरे नहीं प्राणमय कोश नहीं अन्नमय कोश में बात होती है यहाँ पे. प्राणमय तो थोड़ा ऊपर हो गया. I think she meant January 6. Correct. J6 is there. I will not allow. बोलना चाहिए था. बिल्कुल सही बोला आपने. बोलना चाहिए था उसको World War III to happen, but he did not say that. Sunil Limaye, Shruti Chandak, thank you. She's a member. Correct. She was talking about the 6th Jan. I wish questions है. She was talking 6th Jan. Correct. ट्रम्प ने नहीं कराया था भाई. वो 6 जैन वाला ट्रम्प का नहीं था. वो कोई और लोग थे. भारत को फर्क नहीं पड़ता राइजिंग सन. भारत को फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता. इंडिया नथिंग अफेक्ट्स इंडिया. ओके whether Trump wins or Harris wins, India is a different matter. So don't worry about from Indian perspective. Just purely watch the debate and from American perspective. भारत में कोई सुनता है क्या? भारत में कोई नहीं सुनता इन लोगों की. Gokuleshwara's broadcast, I believe for Bharat stand is important to win the election. I don't favor any politician of these or two. I am a registered independent also. So I don't favor either of two. But from मेरे तरफ से Gokuleshwara ji, that Kamala looks very strong. Andrew Aranda, I enjoy this channel. Thanks so much. Thank you, Andrew, for coming and watching this show. BSG, is this for English knowing people? Hindi mein kyun nahi? I'm answering questions in Hindi. So yes, it is. I'll answer if you have a question. I'll answer. The secret phone call Rahul and Harris doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Understand one thing. Rahul Gandhi cannot do anything against India from the United States. Rahul Gandhi is just appeasing his own donors. समझे आप? उसको इलेक्शन तो इंडिया में लड़ना है ना, अमेरिका में नहीं लड़ना है. And it is a misfortune for India that their opposition party leader is speaking bad about India from another country. So for whatever the parliamentary procedures are, they should be taken against them. सुनील लिमय जी बोल रहे हैं फ्रॉम पॉइंट ऑफ वुमेन वन. हाँ, महिलाओं की तरफ से देखा जाए तो कमला वन. करेक्ट. Government job fever entering US now. That's correct, Saffron man. You understand the current it is definitely correct. Definitely correct. Andrew Aranda is saying more minorities have used abortions, so are minorities being targeted? Absolutely, because the abortions have been used against minorities a lot, and stopping abortion or criminalizing abortions will affect minorities in many ways, because incidents of rapes and other things are in the rural sector a lot in America. So the what is it called, the DNA, what is it, DNA pool, the person, quantum, blood quantum is a dangerous thing. And if any party wins, Republicans or Democrats, they need to abolish blood quantum policy. How come US is such a big area as a single country? That's a miracle. Okay. Military. 24 hours is a way of saying. Correct. Absolutely right. I totally agree with you. 24 hours is a way of saying. But in this kind of debate where specifics are more important and people are not intelligent, that time you have to say more specific. Trump and truth does not get well along together. I won't say that much, Rudra. He has been a good president, no doubt about it. This joker from India, Rahul Vinch's secret return for his brothers. Rahul Vinci is on bail, by the way. Wonderful chat, thank you. And why not have a debate with Modi and Rahul? कहाँ Raja Bhoj or कहाँ Gangu Teli? It's not possible because that man is on. I don't know. It doesn't look normal, Rahul Gandhi. So I do not even say that. It's like undermining Modi. And India doesn't have the presidential system also. बिल्कुल सही बोला अभिषेक जी, अभिशाम जी. डर्टी डार्क स्टेट, DDS, डर्टी डार्क स्टेट. चलिए आप सबने जुड़े मेरे साथ 45 मिनट के लिए. मैं ज्यादा इस तरह के शोज करता नहीं हूँ, लेकिन आज मेरा इच्छा हुई करने के लिए. सो थैंक यू ऑल फॉर ज्वाइनिंग. Do like, share, subscribe, let other people know the feedback. This was the first analysis, maybe from an Indian American perspective. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next show. Namaste.